Some stories follow us long after we think we've left them behind. They settle in the corners of our minds like dust that refuses to be wiped away. These are the stories that don't just disturb us, they haunt us. Stories that break the rules of logic, fracture what we believe is possible, and leave us staring at the ceiling at night wondering if some mysteries were never meant to be solved. Tonight, I'll take you into the heart of darkness, into strange cases so unsettling, so baffling, that the deeper you go, the less sense the world makes. These aren't ghost stories. These aren't urban legends. These are real cases, documented, investigated, analyzed by experts, yet still unsolved. Some involve vanishing people who left behind scenes that feel like staged nightmares. Others involve messages that seem to come from beyond understanding. And some are so deeply disturbing that even seasoned detectives refuse to discuss them publicly. These are the cases that will leave you breathless, so lock your doors, turn down the lights, and get ready for a journey into the unexplained, where facts dissolve into shadows and truth takes on a shape we're not sure we want to see. This is EchoFrame. Case 1. The woman in the water tank. It began with a smell. Guests at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles started complaining about the water. Tasted strange. It looked dark. It flowed slowly. Maintenance was called to investigate, and what they found turned a simple complaint into one of the most disturbing mysteries in modern history. On the roof of the hotel stood four enormous water tanks, heavy, industrial, sealed with thick metal lids. When maintenance climbed up and opened one of the tanks, they froze. Inside was the body of 21-year-old Elisa Lam. But this story, horrifying as it already was, only gets stranger. Elisa had been missing for weeks. The last known footage of her came from the hotel's elevator security camera, a video that still circulates online, drawing millions of views and fueling endless theories. In the footage, Elisa acts strangely. She presses every button. She hides in the corner of the elevator. She steps out, then leans in again, peeking like she's avoiding someone. At one point, she moves her hands in unusual, almost fluid motions, like she's talking to something unseen. Finally, she walks away, and the elevator doors close as if nothing happened. The questions begin immediately. How did she get onto the roof? The door was locked and alarmed. The ladder to the tanks required climbing. The tank lid was heavy. Some hotel employees said it was impossible for one person to lift alone. How did she get inside the tank? To enter voluntarily seems absurd. To be placed inside by someone else would leave evidence. The water tank was tall, slippery, with no platform inside. Getting in is one thing, getting the lid closed after entering is another. Why were there no surveillance cameras showing her movement toward the roof? The only footage we have is the elevator. Some argue mental health struggles explain her behavior. But even if that accounts for the elevator video, it does not explain the logistics of the water tank. The physical difficulty, the sealed lid, the lack of footprints, or the fact that there were no signs of a struggle. Others propose foul play. Someone followed her. Someone knew the building's blind spots. Someone who could access the roof without setting off alarms. But no suspect has ever been identified. And then there are the theories that drift into the paranormal. Shadow figures, mimics, dark presences seen in multiple deaths connected to the Cecil Hotel. But the truth is this: nobody knows what really happened to Elisa Lam. Her body was found. Her case was closed. But her mystery remains wide open. Case 2. The disappearance on the highway that should have been impossibly a family road trip should be simple, predictable, especially on a straight, open highway under a clear sky. But for the Andrews family, a routine drive turned into an encounter with the impossible. They were traveling through rural Wyoming. Endless plains, long stretches without towns, nothing unusual. At around 4 p.m., they approached an intersection. One of those lonely rural crossroads where two lines of cracked asphalt meet in the middle of nowhere. Ahead of them was a blue pickup truck. They remember this detail clearly. The truck looked old, maybe 1970s. Rust along the edges. No visible tags. The driver wore a cowboy hat pulled low, and he didn't look at them. Suddenly, the truck stopped in the middle of the road. No turn signals. No brake lights. Just a sudden, dead stop. The Andrews family slowed down. The father leaned out his window to shout, but before he could speak, something happened that would defy everything they knew about the physical world. The truck faded, not disappeared into distance, not turned off the road. Faded, like a photograph losing ink, like mist dissolving into air. One moment, the truck was 3 meters in front of them. The next, it was simply no longer there. No tire marks, no dust. Nothing. The family was stunned. They stopped the car. The father ran forward to check the road. The asphalt was undisturbed, completely normal, as if no vehicle had been there at all. They reported it later to a highway patrol officer. His reaction? Not surprise, not confusion, just a quiet sigh and a story. He said this wasn't the first time a blue pickup had been reported disappearing on that highway. Over the years, several travelers described identical details. Same model, same color, same behavior. Some officers believe the truck belonged to a man who died on that highway decades ago. An accident no one witnessed. A driver still following the same path over and over again. Others believe it's something else entirely. A temporal glitch, a fold in reality, a replaying moment trapped in a loop. There's no proof. No video, no photographs. But the reports keep coming. And the highway remains the same. Long, empty, and haunted by something that should not exist. Case 3. The man who walked into the forest and came out. In the small town of Ridgway, Oregon, surrounded by thick pine forest and silent hills, locals whisper about the case of Brandon Hale, a man whose disappearance and return defy explanation. Brandon was an experienced hiker, calm, rational, grounded. On a cold October morning, he told his girlfriend he was going for a short hike on a familiar trail he'd walked 100 times. He carried no camping gear, no food, no equipment because he expected to return before sunset. But he didn't return that evening. Or the next day. Or the next week. A full search began. Dogs, drones, volunteers, rangers. For 9 days, the forest was combed repeatedly. Not a single trace was found, no footprints, no clothing, no signs of struggle. On the 10th day, at 3:14 a.m., Brandon walked out of the forest. But it wasn't the same Brandon. When he was found, he was barefoot, clothes torn, eyes unfocused. His skin was unnaturally pale, as if he'd been out of sunlight for months. When paramedics tried to help him, he kept repeating one phrase, "Don't let it follow me." When asked what had happened, Brandon's answers were fragmented. He claimed he'd taken the trail as usual but felt something watching him. Something large, silent, and intelligent. He described hearing footsteps that stopped when he stopped, moving when he moved. Eventually, he started running, no longer sure what was behind him. He said the forest shifted. Paths he knew by heart twisted unnaturally. Trees seemed to repeat themselves like a pattern looping. The sunlight dimmed even though the sky was clear. He felt he was being lured deeper, not lost. He claimed he saw shadows moving between the trees. Shadows shaped like people, but too tall, too thin, too still. He remembered waking up in a place with no sound, no wind, no birds, no insects. A place he described as a dead version of the forest. He refused to say more. Doctors performed tests. He was dehydrated but otherwise uninjured. No signs of malnutrition, no exposure damage, no insect bites, no infections. He showed biological signs of being gone for less than 48 hours, even though he had been missing for 10 days. Then came the most disturbing part. Brandon's girlfriend visited him in the hospital. She said he looked at her with fear. Not fear of losing her, but fear of himself. He whispered, "Check the back of my neck." When she gently lifted his hair, she froze. There was a symbol burned into his skin, not carved, not cut. Burned, clean, precise, geometric. The symbol did not match any known marking from animals, tools, or environmental accidents. Experts could not identify it. After 3 days in the hospital, Brandon vanished again. This time, he left behind a note. "I went back to stop it. If I don't return, don't look for me." He was never seen again. And in Ridgeway, whispers continue. There's something in the forest that takes people, and sometimes brings them back wrong. CSE4, the phone that called after the owner died in 2006. An elderly man named Joseph Mattingly died of cardiac arrest in his home. The official time of death was recorded at 11:47 p.m. His family arrived shortly after midnight, overwhelmed with grief but prepared to handle the necessary arrangements as paramedics worked through the house. Joseph's phone, an old flip phone, sat on the kitchen counter. When his daughter picked it up, she noticed something alarming. There were 2 missed calls from Joseph's number at 12:14 a.m. calls made after he died, at. The family assumed it was a network glitch. Maybe someone had access to his phone. Maybe it was a dial-back error. But then the phone rang again. Caller ID Joseph Mattingly. His daughter answered. She described what she heard as breathing but wrong. Not raspy, not mechanical, just wrong. Inhumanly slow, deep, echoing, as if coming from a large, empty space. Then a whisper, so distorted she couldn't understand the words, but clearly spoken in her father's voice. The family contacted the phone company. They traced the calls. According to the technical logs, all outgoing calls came from inside Joseph's house. After he died, after paramedics had already arrived, after the time of death had been confirmed. But here's the most disturbing part. The calls weren't made from his phone. The line showed outgoing connections with no registered device. No SIM.AS if the number had dialed itself. The phone company could provide no explanation. Technicians said the logs were impossible. One senior engineer reportedly told the family, "This kind of routing cannot occur naturally. Something initiated those calls manually, but it wasn't from a device we can detect." The family stopped answering the phone after the 3rd night because the calls kept coming, always between 12:10 and 12:20 a.m. Eventually, the number was disconnected. But to this day, Joseph's daughter claims she still wakes up at 12:14 a.m., remembering the sound of that breathing. The world is stranger than we like to admit. We tell ourselves that every question has an answer, every mystery has an explanation, every shadow disappears when we turn on the light. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the shadows stay. Sometimes the unexplained remains unexplained. And sometimes the truth is far more disturbing than any lie we could invent. Tonight we explored cases that stretch the limits of reality, vanishings, reappearances, impossible events, and eerie echoes of things that should not exist. Are these glitches in our world? Are they warnings? Or are they reminders that the universe is far bigger, far darker, and far more complex than we're ready to understand? Maybe someday we'll have the answers, but not tonight. This was EchoFrame, and these were the strange cases that will leave you breathless.